Defaulting on our debt is not an option.
Not an option. It will have catastrophic consequences.
Breaking news coming out in the past 48 hours that the next pandemic is already on the way.
And we will have a recession running perhaps deep into next year.
In a single night, the Israeli military attacked 750 Hamas and Hezbollah sites.
Across the country, states are trying to tackle the growing mental health crisis.
Well, could the next pandemic make the height of the COVID-19 outbreak look mild? That's what.
I want to talk to you about something that has me deeply concerned. So before I start, I want to ask you to take out your phone and silence it or turn it off. I know you think you already did, but I don't want Satan to use your cell phone as a distraction for others, which happens way too often. Seems to always happen at the most important part of service. I'm asking people if they're ready to accept Jesus and your cell phone rings. And I don't let on that I hear it, but trust me, I do. And I'm making mental notes. But it's just mental notes. I'll never say anything. I want you to tune out the distractions and people around you and really tune in. It's a good practice every week, but I want you to make the intentional effort because statistics tell me 1/5 of you are currently fighting a battle with depression. I wrote this message the week of September 18. I can't explain why, but that week it seemed like everyone who struggles with depression, we're all struggling at the same time. As a team, we set aside our work. We all focus on helping people through the fight. And that reinforced for me that this is something we have to talk about. I want to start with some statements that will help frame our discussion and will give you some perspective. Number one, it is not a sin to be depressed. We have Bible heroes who went through times of depression, including David, Elijah, Joseph, Moses. Even Jesus said, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." You're in good company. Some depression is because of current circumstances. You lost your job. Bills are piling up. Your best friend betrayed you. Students are bullying you. You failed at something important. You're dealing with physical pain or disease. You lost someone you love. Depression further deepens when you feel like God has abandoned you. Other depression is physiological. Chemical levels in your body are off. Depression or mental illness can run in your family. I believe much of the tendency for depression is inherited. Number two, getting help for depression is not a sin. Unfortunately, some well-known Christian authors and speakers created a perception that going to counseling or taking medication for depression is an indication of a lack of trust in God. That's not only wrong, that's stupid. When you're sick, you go to a doctor. You take antibiotics for infection. You take Advil for a headache. If you tear up your knee, you go to a doctor who performs surgery. My back is messed up this week. I've been in a lot of pain and struggled to sleep. I got help from my physical therapist, my doctor, and my chiropractor, all helping me just be able to stand up here and make it through today. I'm thankful. Some of you take medication for high blood pressure. That's normal and accepted. Treatment for depression should be the same. I am for counselors and doctors. I am for medicine when it's called for. At the same time, I believe there are spiritual factors that contribute to depression, and there are spiritual weapons available for you in the fight. I will pray and believe with you for supernatural healing even as you go to a counselor or to a doctor. Third thing, you're not alone. A Gallup poll published in May found that levels of lifetime and current depression have reached an all-time high for Americans. In January of this year, just 1 month this year, January, 22% of American adults experienced significant depression symptoms. It's more than 1 out of 5. About 7 million people aged 65 and up are depressed. Undiagnosed or misdiagnosed depression is responsible for 2/3 of older adult suicides. More than 1 in 10 young people in the country are living with depression that disrupts their school, work, or home life. 17% of our kids, age 12 to 17, have had at least one major depressive episode this year. Those aged 18 to 29 have the highest prevalence of depression at 21%. When you're in the depths of depression, you convince yourself that no one else is as bad and no one else can possibly understand. You're wrong. Statistically, 1/5 of the congregation is going through the same thing. Number 4, depression causes you to magnify the negative and forget the positive. When you're depressed, bad things appear bigger than they are. You use words like always, everyone, everything, never. Things always go wrong. Everyone's against me. Everything is pointless. I will never feel good again. And at the same time, you neglect the positives. Depression causes you to overlook the blessings of God, victories that won, and good things around you. 5th thing, if you're depressed, we will not judge you or label you. We will pray for you. Biblically, we're commanded to carry one another's burdens, to love and pray for each other. If you struggle with depression, we are not going to put a check mark by your name, kick you out of ministry, or treat you different. Remember, over 1/5 of adults have faced it. In fact, even pastors aren't immune. And I want Pastor Tim Hill to share part of his story with you.
In December of 2017, I had a meeting with Pastor Rod after a series of meetings with some other leaders who had noticed a recent pattern in my life. Pastor Rod was gracious and kind, but he was concerned about me. He knew I wouldn't make it on our team or in ministry much longer at the rate I was headed. I was constantly dropping the ball and my ministry was suffering. Pastor Rod asked me directly but gently what was going on, and I sat in silence at a loss for words. Finally, I spoke up and said, I don't know. I feel like no matter how hard I work to get back on top of things, I just can't seem to get there. I just don't know. I'm embarrassed and I'm frustrated. And Pastor Rod picked up on something and immediately started asking me some questions that in the moment I thought were actually pretty random at the time. He asked me how I was sleeping. I told him I was sleeping plenty, but constantly felt tired. He wrote something down on his notepad. He asked me what I did for fun lately. I told him I really didn't do much other than watch TV with Morgan, my wife. Nothing in particular. He wrote that down as well. He asked me if I had recently experienced any unusual feelings of guilt. I admitted I'd felt very guilty for my lack of performance, of course, and mostly just embarrassment, that I couldn't just simply do what I knew I needed to do. He wrote that down as well. He asked me some other questions about my energy and concentration and appetite, and over he wrote things down. And I knew whatever he was writing down had something to do with all the negative answers I was giving. He even asked me if I had had any suicidal thoughts. I finally had a positive answer. I had not. He finally told me what he was doing with that notepad. He was taking a quick assessment to see if I had had any obvious signs of depression. I scored very high on the test, which turns out was not good. I was depressed. This was 6 years ago, and at the time, I guess I was a little naive to the fact that pastors could even be depressed. Nobody I knew in ministry really talked about it, or if they did, it was so far off my radar that I was completely oblivious to it. Pastors are supposed to have it together, and here I was. Pastor Rod gave me a short list of things I needed to work on immediately. First, I needed to go home and talk to my wife. Somehow, for several months, I had managed to keep it from Morgan. I was headed for trouble, and the person closest to me was in the dark, left only to eventually be shocked when things inevitably fell apart. Morgan was in school, working on her bachelor's degree in social work at the time. Now she has a master's degree in school counseling. So needless to say, she was gracious and understanding and very helpful as I walked through this journey. After talking to Morgan, I needed to see my doctor. I went the very next day after that meeting and was prescribed Lexapro. If there was something that would help me fix this problem I had, I wanted it. Another thing I needed to do was build better habits. I needed more consistent sleep and more meals and sunshine and physical activity. And finally, I needed to see a counselor. I set up some regular appointments with an incredible therapist, and she helped me work through some practical ways to deal with depression and the habits that reinforce it. I learned a lot over the next few months. I learned that the mental illness called depression, this taboo, sort of ominous subject, is in reality comparable to any physical illness. Depression feels like being in a big hole. You try and try to dig your way out, but every time you look up at the surface, you seem further away, more buried than you were before. The more work you do to dig yourself out, the more hopeless it seems. When I was depressed in 2017, I wanted nothing more than to experience joy. I wanted desperately to get out of that hopeless hole of depression and find joy again. I wanted desperately to be able to smile again without it being just a little fake. I'm thankful to say through prayer and medication and therapy and a lot of intentionality and determination, the Lord has healed me of depression.
So if a pastor can face it, so can you. You're in good company. And number 6, here's the good news. With God's help, you can overcome depression. This does not have to be your constant companion. And I want to give you a list of things to help in the struggle. Number 1, spend more time with the Lord. I know that sounds like a pat answer, but prayer and worship refreshes. Isaiah 40:31 says, they that wait upon the Lord will renew their strength, their mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual strength. Spend time reading the first 45 Psalms where David was on the run, hiding, afraid for his life. He had all kinds of different emotions, discouragement, depression, fear, uncertainty. Reading his thoughts and his conclusions about the Lord will help you process. Number 2, be honest. Be honest with yourself, be honest with God, and be honest with safe others. Often just talking out your emotions with a friend will make you feel better. One of my friends emailed me this week and said, I'm really struggling right now with depression. That's brave, and that's wise. Number 3, spend less time on social media. Maybe even turn it off. Social media, by its very design, keeps you angry. They want you angry because angry people post more, comment more, and read more. The companies make money when you're mad. Social media feeds fear. You learn new things to fear or be worried about. Oftentimes things aren't even true. That deepens depression. Social media also causes comparison. You compare your raw, unfiltered worst self with someone else's highly filtered best self. Even my mom last night was telling me in her 80s that she gets depressed when she looks at social media and sees other people that are able to do things she can't do. Number 4, intentionally reconnect with healthy, life-giving relationships. Depression pushes you to isolate, and isolation feeds depression. Don't isolate. Instead, spend more time with encouragers. Reconnect with relaxed, easygoing friends. Take a day off and go shopping or fishing with a friend. Just tell your boss, my pastor said I need to take a day off. Let me know if that works. Call, eat dinner, have a friend over. Find a place to serve and reach out. You discover healthy, life-giving relationships in your church family. There are a lot of chances the next couple weeks to do that. Come to Forever Free on Tuesday night. This last Tuesday night, there were over 320 people here. You can join a bunch of other people who are learning to overcome. You'll always feel better after spending time with life-giving friends, which leads to number 5, disconnect from discouraging relationships. Some people are takers. They drain instead of energize. They're negative, fault-finding, and critical. Just being around them makes you tired and depressed. Disconnect from them. Number 6, don't take depressants. This should be obvious, but it's unbelievable how many people self-medicate for depression with depressants. Alcohol is a depressant. Depressed people and people prone to depression should never drink. Get it out of your house. Marijuana can also function as a depressant and make your depression worse instead of better. Come on, be smarter than that. Number 7, take a depression inventory. There are many online, some are good. A counselor friend taught me this one that I use, that Tim was talking about. It's in your outline, and then the ushers are going to hand you a card like this when you leave, so you can keep it in your wallet. So you can do self-check, and so you can check the people you love. Let me run through it with you real fast. S stands for sleep. I just ask, how are you sleeping? I'm looking to see, are they binge sleeping? Are they not sleeping? Are they having trouble going to sleep? I stands for interest. I ask, what are you doing for fun? Most of the time, depressed people say, really nothing. I'm going to work. I'm coming home. Guilt. I just ask, do you have any feelings of guilt? You struggling with guilt? Energy. How's your energy level? Concentration. Are you having more trouble focusing on a task? Do you find your attention span is shorter than it used to be? Appetite. I'm asking questions about eating. I'm asking about if there's weight gain or loss of 10% or more. Sometimes people will come. It's obvious they're depressed. I'll say, when's the last time you ate? Well, I had something yesterday. And I stop them. I say, okay, I'm not going to talk to you until you eat this granola bar and drink this Coke. And it's amazing when we get the blood sugar levels back to the right places, the difference it makes. Yet when you're depressed, all kinds of chemicals in your body are off. And when you add blood sugar spikes and dips to it, it just makes it worse. P, this is one you can't self-check, but you can check someone else. Presentation. You're looking for how they present, how they look. So like I had somebody who several times ripped a Kleenex into little shreds. And so finally I said, you want another one? They're free. Sometimes you can see, if you know them real well, so you have a baseline, the color, the whites of their eyes will be off. Their skin tone will be different. You gotta know somebody, have a baseline to really see that. And then ask, very important, always ask, have you considered suicide? Any suicidal thoughts? If they answer no, repitch the question by saying, how often? Because often people will not be initially truthful with you. Many times I'll say, any suicidal thoughts? They'll say no, and I say, how often? They'll say, well, just every once in a while. If someone does say, I'm having suicidal thoughts, they need to immediately go to a doctor or a counselor. Very, very important. And someone struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts should never have access to a firearm. Ask them that question. Do you have any weapons in your home? If the answer is yes, ask them to bring the weapons to you. Then you'll lock them up until they're in a better, safer place. These should be normal questions that we ask the people we love. These should not be strange to ask. Keep this and do a self-check. Parents and grandparents, we have lost too many students to undiagnosed depression. Make this a regular habit with your kids and grandkids. Now, you don't have to come say, all right, we're going to do the depression inventory. Instead, as you're talking, just listen and ask questions. And over the course of a couple hours of conversation, just write the acronym down and just make check marks. Generally, I'm looking at if someone is pretty struggling in 4 or more, I'm saying I want you to go to a doctor or a counselor. So keep that. You'll get it on the way out. Number 8, remember the source of your worth and value. The source of your worth and value is your Heavenly Father. I put some verses in your outline for you to remember. Let me show you a couple of them. Psalm 139 is one of my favorite Psalms. David wrote, you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. When I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Then one of my favorite verses, how precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. That's how much God is thinking about you. Personalize Ephesians 2:10. For I am God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for me to do. And then my life verse, Lamentations 3:22. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness.